Trump tries to cool things down in Minneapolis. As we learn, Alex Pretti had an ugly side. Let's check it out. And welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. On Monday, Trump attempted to cool down the situation in Minnesota by pulling CBP's Greg Bovino out and sending Tom Homan, the border czar, in to run the show. It's a decision that's not too popular among his base. It reeks of bowing to this ruthless, deranged, open border Marxist mob. We can show you on the screen. They're going at it again right now in the frigid temperatures of Minneapolis. They're not going to stop. Today, Trump indicated there's no intention of ending deportations, though, getting strong on the issue again, saying that pulling Bovino out was simply a personnel move, that maybe Bovino was a bit too toxic in such a rabidly open border left-wing city. It was just too much of a clash. But Bovino, as we all know, is not the problem here. Again, nothing has changed about the tactics of ICE and Border Patrol since Obama used them so effectively to deport millions and millions of illegals out of this country. The only difference is Democrats now call this process fascist and now call these officers the Gestapo. That is the only thing that's changed. And anarchist bottom feeders ingesting that insane rhetoric and deciding to battle against the Gestapo. That's the only thing that's changed. The president spoke a couple different times today on Minneapolis, indicating he's going to wait and see on the investigation into the shooting over the weekend. But he did note, as we all have, that Alex Pretti came to fight with cops armed with a gun and 2 extra clips.
You know, we're doing a big investigation. I want to see the investigation. I'm going to be watching over it. I want a very honorable and honest investigation. I have to see it myself.
Certainly shouldn't have been carrying a gun. We view that as a very unfortunate incident, okay? Right. Everyone, unless you're a stupid person, very, very unfortunate incident. I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff. And despite that, I say that's a very unfortunate.
So for everybody screaming 2A out there, there's some things to think about here. He brought a gun to fight with police officers. What sensible person does that? That's what anybody sensible thinks when they look at this case. It's not about your freedom to carry a gun. Of course you have the freedom to carry a gun. Who the hell brings a gun and 2 extra clips to a fight with federal law enforcement as they carry out basic federal laws? You are asking to get shot if you do this. And unless we just don't want law enforcement in this country any longer, that's just going to have to be the way that it is. Don't bring a gun and pick a fight with armed police officers, okay? Pretty simple stuff. It was an idiotic move, and although he shouldn't have been killed, that idiotic move cost him his life because it looks like the gun fell out or something happened with the gun in all that scuffle. And there you have it. Very easy to avoid that, by the way. Just protest. You want to assault police officers? Just do it without a gun in your pocket. You want to impede law enforcement? Just do it without a gun in your pocket. You're not going to get shot. Today, CNN reporting what we long suspected about this story, that this was not Alex Pretti's first rodeo. Alex Pretti had a broken rib from fighting with federal immigration agents just a week ago. Oh. Does it make more sense now? He was a professional agitator. This was his new identity, a lot like Renee Good. He was turning into one of these people that's just going to fight with cops every day. Here's more from CNN.
CNN is learning that Alex Pretti had a physical encounter with federal agents about a week before he was shot and killed by law enforcement. Sources also say that he was known to federal law enforcement, though it's unclear whether it was this incident or another, with federal agents that they knew of him.
You can see how disappointed she is to have to tell that story. He was known to federal agents. For the last couple days, the media has painted a picture of a VA nurse who would never hurt a fly, just the nicest guy you could ever expect to meet, who was helping a woman who was being viciously attacked by Border Patrol agents. That's the story that we keep getting, right? The truth is, the woman that he was helping was exhibiting vile behavior, harassing and impeding cops, refusing to move out of the road so they could get by, impeding their ability to do their jobs. That's a crime. Blowing whistles right in their faces as she did all this, by the way. Agitating to the point where Border Patrol agents could have easily justified her arrest and removal from the scene, but decided to give her a break and just get the hell out of the way. Shove her out of the way. And then comes in the hero, Alex Pretti, on his way to becoming a professional law enforcement obstructor, it would appear, and that's when everything goes terribly wrong. And again, not justifying the shooting, but it doesn't go bad if politicians don't stir the pot and brainwash these people, their minions, to go fight a pretend Gestapo that's been used by everyone from George Bush to Barack Obama, by the way. This is honestly one of the most impressive collaborative gaslights we have ever seen. What they have done to immigration enforcement in this country. Suddenly, the enforcement of federal immigration law is fascist, and everyone on the left is saying it at the same time.
Masked secret police shooting innocent people with impunity in the streets are not victims. I think we can all agree, guys. Now,
this has to stop, and I'm convinced now that the only people who can stop it are on the right. I hope you will also agree we need new leaders.
These are not normal times, and it's like we have extrajudicial like assaults on Americans and humans going on a daily basis.
All of our captured institutions are feeding us the same nonsense. Hollywood, the media, they've all joined in because this is the best shot they've got at really tearing apart this administration. They can see it, they can feel it, and now they're going all in. It's a complete manufacturing of a crisis, something that's never been a problem. Enforcement that 15 years ago was actually more forcefully implemented by Democrats than it was by Republicans. That's what's so surreal about this. 15 years ago, Democrats were more hard up on deporting illegals than Republicans are. Fast forward 15 years later, it is now right-wing fascism to deport illegal immigrants. What a surreal moment we are in. And Nick Sortor is an independent journalist, the first to report about CBP Commander Bovino's departure from Minneapolis, and joins us tonight. Nick, good to have you here. Preliminary report from DHS says Alex Pretti was resisting arrest. 2 CBP officers opened fire after another yelled, "He's got a gun," multiple times. We now see Bovino removed, but Trump today indicating the deportations are not stopping. What do you make of the moves that we have seen this week? It felt like a capitulation last night.
Yeah, I can definitely see how it would seem like a capitulation. I'm going to hold off on judging exactly what is going on until, I'll give it, 24 more hours, I would say, in order to just see. Like, I want to give Tom Homan some time, right? Yeah. He just got there. He met with both Waltz and Frey today. I don't expect either of them to really, Trump said it best today when he was in Iowa, saying that, Waltz will talk a big game on TV and then he talks differently in the background, right? Right. Waltz is a wannabe tough guy. Frey is a soy boy. Everybody sees right through it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they're not doing what's in the best interest of Minnesota or Minneapolis. They're doing what's in the best interest for them politically. Yeah, and they're protesting Walz tonight. Additionally, as Carl said at the end of his show, they're protesting Bovino. They're mad at Walz for talking to Trump. Walz, as you said, he's two-faced. He barks really big, and then I remember in the debate with J.D. Vance, he was a puppy dog. So he's got a real big bark when he's alone and when he's just being interviewed by the left, but he's a different person. I want to ask you this before I let you go. Reports that Kristi Noem, head of DHS, worried about losing her job. Have you heard about this? See, here's the thing. Kristi Noem has one of the most difficult jobs in the United States, and that is to carry out this mandate that voters, gave President Trump in 2024. The top issue was immigration, right? We want mass deportations. Kristi Noem is in charge of carrying that out. Is she worried? I don't get that sense, but she's under a lot of pressure, and she's not relenting so far, which is why I have a tremendous amount of respect for her. So, I think that people need to rally around her and keep supporting her because she's on the right side of history here.
Yeah, well said. Nick Sortor, thanks for coming on. Good to see you.
Appreciate you, Rob.
All right. Andrew Klavan, host of The Andrew Klavan Show, joins us now. A great mind to talk about this with. Good to see you, sir. Chuck Schumer is now screaming for ICE to get out of Minneapolis. How many times over these decades has Schumer approved funding for this exact same style of immigration enforcement that we've seen in this country for quite a long time?
You know, Schumer is an empty man. He has been for a long time. I don't know if he started out with some sort of ideals. It's so long ago since he's been permanently installed in our government. But now he's all about, you know, upholding his power while he's threatened from the left by people like AOC, worries about losing his leadership position. You know, nothing he says traces back to any kind of idea or ideal that we can understand. It's really just about him being in power and him getting in front of a microphone. They always have said in Washington that the most dangerous place in the Capitol is between him and a microphone. And I don't even know at this point what he stands for or what he's talking about, just to be blunt.
Well said. A projection for House seats after the 2030 census based on 2025 populations shows, I think, one of the likely reasons we had open borders for 4 years and why Democrats are so enraged at deportations. This went viral today on social media. Texas gaining 4 seats, Florida gaining 2, California, New York, Illinois all losing seats. The idea is that we need an influx of people that basically owe their existence in our country to the Democrat Party, and then they're going to pray that Democrats are going to pray that there's some kind of a deal made on immigration that gives, obviously, amnesty, you know, and some kind of citizenship, the right to vote. Everybody says, oh, well, illegals can't vote. Well, they already do, and also this is about what happens when you give amnesty to 20 or 30 million people in this country. We know which way they're all going to vote. They're going to vote for their existence in this country. What did you make of that graphic and the idea that that's why this is all happening?
Yeah, it is why it's all happening, but it's happening throughout the West. It's happening in Europe, too. The population is drifting to the right, and the press can call them far right all they want, but they're not. To drift to the right at this point is to drift essentially to the center. And the only thing that the Democrats can think of, I mean, they could think of changing their ideas. They could think of recovering their love of country. They could think of recovering their common sense and moving away from socialism. But short of that, the only thing they can think of is stacking the deck with illegals. And that doesn't, I'm not even sure that's going to work in the long run. Either you get a Muslim population hostile toward the West who's just going to devour them last, or you get people who come in from South America who ultimately start to scratch their chin and say, you know, the right is making a lot more sense. It is
surreal to watch how they'll do anything except the right thing for their country. That's whatever has taken a hold of the left in the West is so ugly, and we're seeing it for what it is. I've got just about 30 seconds left. I want to just show this real quick video. Ohio Attorney General candidate on the Democrat side, Eliot Forhan, campaigning on killing Donald Trump. Take a look.
This is Eliot Forhan, candidate for Ohio Attorney General. I want to tell you what I mean when I say that I am going to kill Donald Trump. I mean I'm going to obtain a conviction rendered by a jury of his peers at a standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, based on evidence presented at a trial conducted in accordance with the requirements of due process, resulting in a sentence duly executed of capital punishment.
I hate that I only have 20 seconds to give you to respond to that, but it's all I got. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember when the Democrats were calling Republicans violent because they would put targets on their campaign material. This is who the left is. The left is violent, whether it's scratching Teslas because they don't like Elon Musk, or attacking law enforcement agents for enforcing the law. This is what they do. They bully, they cancel, and they commit acts of violence. It's who they are.
It's a disease, isn't it? Andrew Klavan, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Good to see you. Thanks.
A fiery debate on immigration and ICE up next with the founder of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur.
Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country.
Before Charlie Kirk died, he issued a stark warning of terrifying dangers ahead in a new book, Pagan Threat, authored by Pastor Lucas Miles. Charlie said Pagan Threat could save America and that you must read it. Get Pagan Threat free with Newsmax's special offer. Plus, get Dick Morse's new book, The Real Charlie Kirk. 2 great books with our free offer today.
Ready to make your dream kitchen a reality? Then Cabinets to Go is the place to go. Get the craftsmanship, styles, and features you want at a price you can't find anywhere else. And right now, get it all at 0% for 48 months. Only at Cabinets to Go. Designed to wow.
Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America. Most investors believe their IRA, 401k, and bank accounts are reliable and safe. But what if our economy becomes so dire that you're restricted from accessing your own money? The fact is that should your bank be in trouble for holding bad loans, the burden could fall on you to help bail them out. Even more concerning is that U.S. financial regulations allow banks to impose withdrawal limits on your hard-earned savings. But there's something you can do about it. Our team at Swiss America has a report called The Secret War on Cash. Learn how to protect yourself with assets that can remain outside the control of banks and other financial institutions. For over 40 years, Swiss America has been one of the most trusted metal firms in the country. So don't wait. Call or text the number on your screen today for financial peace of mind in these uncertain times.
Your Florida life is calling, and we have the answer. Valencia in Florida by GL Homes. Premium 55-plus living in 5 prime Florida locations. Gorgeous new homes from the mid-300s to $2.5 million. World-class resort-style living 24/7. Huge clubhouses, on-site dining, pickleball, and more. Effortless, low-maintenance living. Valencia, your Florida life is calling. Experience more at valenciaflorida.com.
This is keratin debris, where nail fungus grows. Nonix Nail Gel cleans out fungus by removing keratin debris. Using Nonix, 90% of nails improve. Get clinically proven results. So effective, it's money-back guaranteed.
I would not stop Balance of Nature anyway. There would be no way. I know you wouldn't be able to force me to stop taking it.
Lock in 50% off for 1 year when you subscribe to the Whole Health System.
Check their new game day fit. Oh, snap! DirecTV got hot.
That's right. DirecTV is flexing with all those pro and college games at your fingertips. This ain't your dad's cable, son. It's couture.
Okay, thank you so much. I was about to say that. It's couture.
All right, welcome back. Cenk Uygur is the founder of the Young Turks. You know who he is, a wildly popular populist figure on the left. And Cenk's reaction to the Alex Pretti shooting over the weekend got our attention. He wrote, "Just watch the video, F ICE, F Trump." We've seen a lot of tweets like that in recent days. He said, "You're supposed to be helping the average American, not killing them in the streets. Trump is sending in ICE to create this conflict," concluding with, "This is to divide and distract you. Once you hate each other, you won't be fighting the elites." And Cenk joins us now to give us a little bit more of his perspective. I want to start with the idea of fighting the elites, and I can see where you're going with that. I completely disagree that ICE is there to create a division between us. I think the biggest mandate the president got was to get rid of the illegal aliens, which at this point, even still, 55-60% of Americans want all illegals out of the country. What do you say to that?
Yeah, so when Trump started, he closed down the border. That was very popular. That is what he was elected to do. So we're fair and honest about that. On top of that, he went and got some of the criminals that were undocumented. That was also popular. And so at that point, he had the American people behind him. His numbers look good. People are in favor. Then he begins mass deportations. First of all, mass deportations are unpopular with the American people. And people make the mistake, and this happens on the left as well as the right, of assuming that what they voted for is what everyone voted for. But there's 77 million Trump voters, and they're a great range, including independents, let alone the folks that didn't vote for him. But Rob, the main thing is he didn't have to put people in mass. He didn't have to take away their badges. And when you do it that way and you go and antagonize, and now you've got dead Americans in the streets, you're doing that in a way to rile people up and to get us to start fighting one another. And
let me just hang on a second. The reason that this is riled up is, I think, coming from the exact opposite side. I think that ICE is doing the job ICE has done that they did under Obama, that they did under everybody else. But you're just seeing in certain places, like in Minneapolis, where you have state leaders calling them the Gestapo, that you're seeing chaos. You're not seeing this chaos in other states. You're only seeing it in places where the leader of the state is saying that the Gestapo is disappearing people, and you have this insane rhetoric. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious from my perspective that that's what's happening here.
No, Rob, there was no mass before. In America,
well, they're being doxxed. I mean, the protesters are doxing these people. It's like they're worried that their kids are going to get shot and killed.
No, nonsense. And why do I say that? Because in America, we have law enforcement with badges and names, and we have accountability, and we've had that for hundreds of years. Do our cops deal with some vicious gangs? Yes. Do they deal with some, very significant crime, murders, rapists, you name it? Yes. And they do it with badges. They don't do it with masks. Once you get into faceless, maskless, badgeless, nameless folks, then we're getting into third world territory. And that is not a good idea.
Did you hear the voicemail that the one ICE agent got from the guy that's saying that I hope that your kids die and that all of these terrible things? I mean, I do think that there is a genuine concern, very justifiable. I would not want to do this job with them calling me the Gestapo. I would not want to be out on the streets doing this job in a manner where people could figure out who I am and where I live. If I'm going to have people calling, and by the way, this is the same job that's been done in this country for a very long time. This has not changed from the way that it was done under Obama. You just didn't have psychotic people chasing you around, getting into conflicts. The guy that was killed, Alex Pretti, CNN just now reporting that he had a broken rib from a conflict he had with ICE just last week. So he's obviously an antagonist, an instigator. He's not a protester. He's a guy that's getting in their faces, who then brought a gun to defend himself from federal officers. If you were going to send, if you had kids that wanted to protest something, would you tell them to bring a gun to a protest against federal officers? That doesn't make any sense.
So, Rob, you've said a lot of things there. First of all, Obama was able to deport a lot more people because he did it at the border. And back then there weren't sanctuary cities.
But they had ICE operations in every city.
Yeah. So but did they go around en masse and start pushing Americans around and murdering them in the streets?
They're
no,
only
they
pushing
didn't.
them because they're getting pushed.
No, they're not.
Didn't have
That's
the
not
protest.
true. Alex Pretti never pushed
Nobody
any
was
ICE
chasing
agent.
ICE around when Obama was president. Nobody chased them around.
No.
It didn't.
Are you justifying? Alex Pretti was trying to help a woman that these thugs, these masked gunmen in our streets, pushed to the ground and then bear sprayed. Bunch of cowards, by the way. You don't treat a woman like that.
But who started that fight?
And then, hold on, and then they take his gun away and then they murder him. And then after they pause, they put 5 more bullets in his body because that's the kind of masked thugs that Trump has in the streets, and that's why they're being called a Gestapo.
And that's
why 70% of Americans hate them, and they should, because they're trying to create this exact conflict where we're at each other's throats. And meanwhile, Trump and his buddies, but it's not just Trump, it's the Uniparty, the Democrats do it too. They're robbing the place blind while we're at each other's throats, just like Trump and Stephen Miller intended.
I feel you on the back half of that, but none of this happens if you don't have people tormenting and attacking police as they do a job that's always been done in this country. The reason that nobody got shot and killed when Obama was using ICE is because the Democrats didn't send them over there telling them that they're disappearing people, that they're the Gestapo. I mean, if you have the Gestapo operating in your streets, you are going to attack that, and that's what's happening. And that's exactly why this young man is killed. He did something very stupid that day, and he had done it before. He had gotten a rib broken trying to impede the operation of federal law enforcement just before this happened, which tells you everything.
So, protesting government is our First Amendment rights. It's the most American right you have. And by the way, I was told by the right wing that the Second Amendment is also one of the most important rights we have. Now, I don't look. Hold on. Let me just say one thing real quick. I've been consistent on this from day one. I don't think that Kyle Rittenhouse or Pretti should have brought a gun to these protests. I think bringing guns to protests is a terrible idea. Now, I don't know if everybody that's watching has been consistent on that too, especially when it comes to Rittenhouse. But guys, I'm not the one saying you needed guns to protect against the government tyranny. The right wing was saying that. Now, if you're going to go within 10, 20 feet of a cop,
this is immigration.
You get to be killed if you have a gun.
This isn't tyranny, though. This is manufactured outrage over basic immigration policies. There is no tyranny.
So should you be shot by a cop if you have a gun?
No, you shouldn't be. I agree with that. And I don't know what's going to happen here. I think it was very stupid of him. I don't think you go to protest federal police officers doing a basic job and bring a gun to protect yourself from federal police officers. I think he did something very stupid. Do I think he deserved to die? No. Do I think he put himself in a situation where he could have been killed? Yes. And just to bring something back for a second, I don't know where you fell on Ashley Babbitt, but it's funny to me that the left is so outraged over this. Ashley Babbitt was shot. She didn't even have a gun. And everybody said she deserved to die on your side of the aisle. I don't know what you said. I don't remember what you said.
Yeah.
But it is funny to me that this kid had a gun and they say it's an atrocity. That doesn't track. There's a hypocrisy there.
Yeah. So first of all, no one deserves to die, especially when they're riled up and they're going to a protest. Now, on January 6th, did they attack law enforcement? Of course they did. So, I mean, are we being consistent? So I don't want anybody, look, so you understand, this is not me just saying this in the middle of the show. On the Young Turks, I say repeatedly to our left-wing audience, independents, and even a lot of right now watches us. What we're saying is, look, I love that you're protesting, and I don't mind you filming or doing anything else, but don't get near them, because that's not going to help anyone. It's not going to help the immigrants. It's not going to help law enforcement, and you're putting yourself in jeopardy. So please don't go get within 10, 20 feet of law enforcement. So we're consistent on that.
Yeah.
But on January 6th, they kicked the crap out of law enforcement.
I know.
They broke into the building, and they were pouring into the place where the congressmen and the senators were. It was a super scary time for people in that building. So let's be consistent throughout.
I don't disagree with you on any of that.
Okay,
but I still think this is a situation. If we're just going to look at this situation right here, you've got federal law enforcement doing what federal law enforcement has done for a very long time, and we have sound bites from everybody supporting ICE in the past on the Democrat side. All of a sudden now that enforcement is suddenly vilified and is Nazism, which is bull. You know what it is, and that's taken it to a level where now you have the minions, the pawns of this operation, which are these psychotic people on the left that listen to all of this rhetoric, and they're attacking these guys. And the reason that people are getting killed is because they're putting themselves between these officers and their job. And cops do make mistakes. And when you have a gun, I don't know what happened with that gun. I don't know if it fell out of his pocket and it went off. I have no idea where the first shot came from. We're going to find out. I'm not saying this kid deserved to die. I'm saying it's really stupid to show up to fight with law enforcement officers with a gun in your pocket. I would never do that. I would never, even if it was coming from the other side, even if it was a left wing and I thought it was impending communism coming and these were the street troops, I wouldn't show up with a gun and fight that. I think you're asking to die.
Yeah, well, look, that's what I've been saying for 20 years, guys. I don't understand what you mean by fighting government tyranny. What are you going to shoot cops? You're going to shoot the military?
It's a war.
So I've never understood that argument for the Second Amendment. But I'm not the one making it. It was the right that was making it. But I will agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was right. She said, look, imagine if the shoe was on the other foot. Yeah. And Biden is sending mass thugs into the streets. They're pushing people around. And then there was a law-abiding guy who's got a Second Amendment right. And then they take his gun away and then execute him. You would be livid.
Well,
and you should be livid.
But that would presuppose that there was something happening that was, this is not real fascism. They're just inventing a new word so they can keep all these illegals in our country. And these are the same operations we've seen for the last 20, 30 years from ICE. I got to leave it there.
70% of the country does not want mass deportations, Rob. 70%. They dump 20 million in the country. And I'm not saying Nazi, and I have never said Nazi in regards to Trump. I'm just saying that's authoritarian, and I don't want it. That's not American.
All right, we got to leave it there, just simply based on time. I love these conversations, Cenk. We appreciate you coming on, being a good sport.
No problem. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. All right. Trump heads to Iowa to tout MAGAnomics. We've got Peter Navarro up next.
The poverty is unimaginable. There are people who are struggling.
This is where she washes the dishes.
If you're ever going to allow your Christian faith to rise and to do something for God's chosen people, now is the time.
This is the home of Galina. She's 96 years old.
This is what she had to eat for today.
She has one pot with water and wheat.
My father was killed by the Nazis, and I was an orphan. I didn't know about God. But now, in the cold, hungry nights, I pray for food to the God I've never known. There are good people that love you.
You see the tears. Scripture says joy can come in the morning, and you can be the reason.
If you will bless these hurting children of Israel, you will receive God's blessing in return. Your urgent gift today of $25 will help Rush, a survival food box filled with life-saving essentials. If you call right now, your gift's impact will be doubled to help save lives. Call, scan, or go online now.
I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I don't know how much longer she could have waited for us to come.
I can't even grow my food anymore. What will happen to me? I'm doomed to starve.
Tens of thousands of elderly Holocaust survivors in the former Soviet Union are living in extreme poverty, hungry, and forgotten. But through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, we can bring them hope.
Eggs. It's my favorite food. May you be blessed.
You say to them, we see you and we're here to help.
If you call right now, your gift's impact will be doubled to help save lives.
Protect your family. Buy LifeVac now.
Thank you, Daddy.
That was us over 10 years ago.
Now LifeVac is responsible for saving over 4,000 lives from choking.
In the time it takes you to pick up the phone and call, another life could be saved.
The LifeVac saved my life in 1 to 2 seconds.
Protecting families has always been our mission. I'm sure you love your family like I love my daughter. Do us all a favor and get your own LifeVac now.
Go to lifevac.net or call 877-LifeVac. Order now.
Total Beats, America's best-selling Beats brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews today.
She's been there for you through everything. And now you're learning this next thing together. We get it. Find a caregiver who does too. When it's not you, it's care.com.
TrueWork designs performance workwear engineered with advanced materials to be lighter, warmer, faster drying, and ready for real job site conditions. TrueWork, performance workwear. Shop now at truework.com.
I'm going to Iowa, and what can I say? The economy is good. It's all good. So you had gasoline at $4.50. Now it's at $1.99 in many places a gallon. $1.99.
$1.89 in Iowa, sir.
That's right. And what are you there?
$1.89.
$1.89. I'm thrilled to be back in the great state of Iowa. Our economy is booming, incomes are rising, investment is soaring, inflation has been defeated. Under my leadership, economic growth is exploding to numbers unheard of. They've never had them before in recent times, and we're just getting started.
President in Iowa today pushing the economy, pushing affordability, stopping local businesses. The city of Urbandale shaking hands, signing hats, taking some pictures before taking the stage in the Des Moines suburb of Clive, touting the successes of Maganomics thus far, kicking off what is a strategic GOP blitz of campaign-style Trump rallies leading up to the midterms, trying to fend off what typically happens is that you lose, especially with Trump. The midterms hurt because they can't wait to vote against him. Trump via Maganomics attempting to fix decades of government failure and remind America that it would be total lunacy to vote for more government if you really want the prices of things to come down. There's a great example that's been moving around on X last couple of days, a chart tracking prices from 2000 to 2024 using numbers from the BLS. Hospital service skyrocketed 280%. College tuition and fees, 200% up. Medical care services up 150%. There's a lot more to this graphic. It shows basically everything tethered to government in some way has skyrocketed in price. Things in the private sector, innovation, things like that, the price of TVs and others you can see down there, computer gear, software, all down. As we've innovated, learned how to produce more of it, more competition. Isn't that something? Peter Navarro is a White House senior counsel for trade manufacturing, joins us now. Peter, imagine thinking that voting for more government will reduce your cost of living.
It's astonishing, Rob, just how much Biden drove up inflation. I mean, you have to work overtime to do that. The big news tonight, Rob, and why he was in Iowa is the E15. What's that? That's the ethanol that's made from corn that's then mixed with our gasoline. Get you cleaner air. That seems to be like what the story might be about. But there's a much bigger story I want to share with you, Rob, and it implicates China, it implicates soybeans. Think of it this way. Soybean farmers and corn farmers are often the same people. They rotate their crops. They grow a lot of that stuff, and they'll grow a lot of it in Iowa. And what happens every time President Trump puts tariffs on? China cancels all its purchases of both corn and soybeans. So we've got an initiative here at the White House, which is not only to domesticate, essentially, the demand for corn through the ethanol program. There's a companion program to do it with soybeans as well. And it's a high strategic way, and it's the way the president operates. And it's going to give farmers, who he always has the back of, great comfort, and it's going to be able to liberate essentially our tariff policies from the kind of blackmail that China's practicing.
Right.
So when he was talking E15, a lot of cheers in that audience, but there should be a lot of cheers nationwide because it was a very strategic move, not just simply a biofuel move.
Yeah, because China's making a lot of moves, trying to kind of deceptively trying to screw with the tariffs any way they can, right?
Yeah, I mean, every time we put the tariffs on, they did it back in 2018 as well.
Yeah.
They stopped buying our soybeans. They stopped buying our corn.
Hurt the farmers.
And they let this stuff rot on the docks.
Yeah.
And then they think that's going to stop the president. And what we did the last time was simply create a program to give the soybean farmers and corn farmers a bunch of money to make them whole, and everything was fine. But longer term, the strategy is to wean our farmers from Chinese demand so they don't play that card on us. So E15, all hail E15. The president said he'll sign the bill as soon as the Senate Majority Leader gets it to his desk. It's all good.
I love that. I mean, that's the deep stuff that's so important that doesn't get a lot of the headlines. I want to show you this real quick. The president made a great point today that it would be so easy for him to get great unemployment numbers using a very simple scheme. Take a listen.
I could create the greatest unemployment numbers or employment numbers ever. All I have to do is hire 3 million people and put them into the federal government, and you have 10 people, for one job, right?
That's right.
And what we've done is we've cut the federal employees, and they've gone to the private sector.
It's just that easy. You can just
Rob,
scan the system.
Yeah, I mean, Biden actually did that.
Yeah.
But the thing about the truth here that Trump understands is that when you work in the private sector, you're much more productive for the American economy, and you wind up getting more output, you get higher wages, and everybody's more prosperous. And if you look at the unemployment numbers every month here, what we're seeing is private sector is accounting for every single job, and American citizens are getting every one of them. In the Biden years, it was government jobs being created, going to illegal aliens. And this is elections matter.
Yeah.
Elections matter. And that's why this midterm is going to matter.
All right. The president's senior counselor for trade and manufacturing, Peter Navarro. Good to see you again. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, it's a pleasure, sir.
All right. A massive American armada is now very close to Iran, as new reporting alleges the regime killed more than 30,000 in that recent uprising. 30,000 people. Many think the president is about to make a big move. That is next.
Immunoline 50 may be the best food supplement in the world because it contains 70 plant minerals and 80 other nutrients. The 3 videos on our website tell you how this product and 7 times more minerals can improve your health.
Don't kibble your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dried premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
Just in time for our country's big celebration, the Kids Guide to America's 250th birthday is here, and it's free. Give your kids this epic story of freedom, heroes, and fireworks. Get it at freeusagift.com. That's freeusagift.com.
Your data is like a single domino. The moment it's stolen, it starts a chain reaction that puts the information that guards your assets at risk. 1 in 3 Americans have been a victim of identity theft. Are you willing to risk it?
When I saw zeros on that screen as my bank account balance, I went to immediate panic.
$21,000 just gone.
I opened my account and $30,000 is missing. Like $30,000. I have no idea what to do.
If your personal information is stolen, are you prepared to pick up the pieces alone? LifeLock is the leader in identity theft protection and restoration.
Once LifeLock got involved, everything changed.
With LifeLock, if your identity is stolen, they'll step in and fix it so you don't have to, guaranteed. Our highly trained U.S.-based restoration specialists contact institutions, dispute fraudulent charges, close compromised accounts, and even procure legal support far beyond the capabilities of your bank or credit card company.
LifeLock pursued this case further than I ever would have imagined.
If you call right now, you'll get LifeLock for just $9.99 a month for your first year. And as extra protection, all LifeLock memberships include the $1 Million Protection Package. Our members receive reimbursement for stolen funds and personal expenses, like lost wages, as well as coverage for lawyers and experts up to $3 million in total.
When the bank refused to reimburse my stolen money, the $1 Million Protection Package came through for me.
Our restoration guarantee and $1 Million Protection Package are included in all memberships with no additional fees.
I think it's natural to think that you can do this on your own. You can't. You need an expert in your corner.
Call 1-800-360-9220 and use promo code TV35 or go to lifelock.com/TV35 to join today.
From senior to childcare to pets and more, the new Care.com makes it easier than ever to find the care you need. And you don't have to hire just anyone. You can find a background-checked caregiver who's the right fit for you. Join now and find care at Care.com.
There's another beautiful armada floating beautifully toward Iran right now. So we'll see. I hope they make a deal. I hope they make a deal. They should have made a deal the first time.
All right, that's just a couple hours ago. The question tonight is something about to pop in Iran as this armada moves into the region. A London-based Iranian news channel, the Iran International, reviewing classified documents, field reports, direct accounts from medical staff, witnesses, families of victims, now claiming that the death toll after the uprising very recently is at more than 36,000. Killed in just a matter of about 2 days during that recent uprising. 36,000. It would be one of the worst atrocities committed against civilian protesters in modern times, done so by a regime that implements so much chaos and terrorism all across the world in the Middle East, and done after the president said, "You're not going to kill any protesters," our president said. Reporting that injured protesters were shoved into body bags and not taken to hospitals but to forensic morgues while still alive. Also, obtaining messages from a nurse who confirmed patients were being systematically executed. Injured patients were being executed by the state. A nurse that reportedly was later killed. Katie McFarland, who's Trump's former deputy national security advisor. Elica Laban is an Iranian-American lawyer and human rights activist, and both join us tonight. Ladies, good to have you here. KT, we talk about this every week or two now. What are your feelings as this armada is now in the region within strike distance? What do you think happens here?
Well, I think there are three things going on. One, whether it's 20,000, whether it's 30,000, there are a lot of Iranians who have been killed. Now, what does that do? It creates 100,000, if they're martyrs, and they have 100,000 family members who want to go out in the streets to avenge the deaths. The second thing it shows you is that the regime is collapsing from within. That the mullahs, the leadership there, they don't have control of their streets, they don't have control of their cities. So where does that take us? Well, I think that President Trump has shown us with Venezuela. That's the playbook. You want to decapitate the guys on the top, use economic pressure to force them, the next tier guys, to start doing a deal, as President Trump says. So what's the deal look like? No nuclear weapons, no supportive proxies, no gunning down of your own people, and then doing a deal with the United States, particularly on national resources. The one thing I want to just add in here, thank God Donald Trump destroyed their nuclear program. Can you imagine right now if the mullahs had their hands on the trigger with nuclear weapons?
Yeah, it is surreal. Elica, what are you hearing from inside of Iran and your reaction to what we've seen in the last couple of weeks?
I mean, what we're hearing from inside Iran is people calling for help from the United States, calling for help from Donald Trump. They were given this directive to go out into the streets, and that help was on the way, and to take over their institutions. And they did what they had to do. And it's, we're still waiting. Is that help coming? Is that help on the way? We don't know. In terms of this conversation about making a deal, that would be an absolutely catastrophic mistake to make a deal with the Islamic regime. Of course. It is an absolutely hard no. This is what we saw with the JCPOA. Those deals always involve exchanging billions of dollars because it's a quid pro quo, okay? It's not nothing for nothing. Something's exchanged for something, and that only reinforces the terror machine. And fundamentally, there is absolutely no oversight for this terrorist regime. When they tell you, oh, don't worry, we won't kill anybody, they've already killed 1,000 people that morning. It is not a regime that can be trusted. It's the same mistake that was made during the Nazis when they said, we've made this deal and this is the peace for our time. And then, oh, there he goes invading Poland. And you find out the hard way what happens when you let these regimes continue. And they have continued for 45 years. And so this is the final end. No more deals. Yeah. Absolutely no more deals. The regime must be gone yesterday.
KT, I don't, when Trump talks, you have no idea what's really happening. A lot of it can be deception. We saw that with Venezuela as well. He said today that, they should try to make a deal. This it seems like it's well past any time that Trump would trust a deal or who would trust a deal from these people other than, I guess, Democrat leaders in our country would trust it. But he's not going to buy that. It seems like whatever's coming is going to bring something. There's going to be a move's going to be made, that this armada is not there to just oversee, a potential negotiation.
No, and it's there as a great deterrent, and it's there to give President Trump some options, depending upon how things evolve on the ground. The one thing I would caution everybody about, I'm a Vietnam-era person. I know the Afghanistan War, the Iraq War, and if we don't have something in place or some good idea of who could put the next government in place, you get into a chaotic situation where you decapitate a leadership like George Bush did, decapitate the leadership, disband the military, stop the government workers, and then you've got chaos. And then you have to have a U.S. occupation, or you have civil war, you have masses of refugees, and it destabilizes the whole region.
Elica is shaking her head on that. Elica, go ahead.
That's not going to happen for many reasons. Number one, we have the Crown Prince, who is the person that the Iranian people are calling for in their millions in the streets. And he has a dedicated point plan of exactly how this transition is going to take place. And it's excellent. It is excellent.
It's a great plan, I agree.
And not only that, but the people of Iran are people who have been anticipating this moment. They have, in terms of education, in terms of everything, and they're not willing to see something that is going to fail just in the same way that the Islamic regime failed. They're not going to accept Mujahideen, MEK. They're not going to accept any of these other groups. The only thing they're going to accept is a transition to democracy. And we have a transition to democracy outlined. The issue is that people are not legitimizing that transition. And that's something that's really important. We need the Western world to legitimize the Crown Prince as the transitional leader into that democracy. Simple.
Yeah. Does that track for you, KT? Does he have enough broad support? I know a lot of leftists in this country that hate Pahlavi.
Yeah, I read his report, and I think it's very detailed and it's very specific about, like taking out the trash kind of thing. The really nuts and bolts of what a government does. So I think that part of it is great. Yeah. My concern is that every time the United States tries to impose a leader, whether it's Hamid Karzai or whether it's any of the leaders we've tried to impose, we're not very good at it. So I certainly hope that there's a stabilization plan in place so that it doesn't descend into chaos.
Elica, is there any indication of what Pahlavi's support is inside Iran that you trust?
Yeah. I can tell you that the best indication that you can get is that when the internet was on in Iran, his videos were averaging about 80 to 90 million views. Okay, the day that the internet cut off, and the population of Iran is about 90 million, mind you, of course not all of them. Yeah. The day that the internet cut off, his views went down to about 5 million. Okay, so that's a strong indication of who was watching those videos. And on the days that he told them to go out into the streets were the very days, those 2 days, the Thursday and the Friday, that it was absolutely packed shoulder to shoulder, millions of people out in Iran. And they are saying his name. They are saying Javid Shah. They're saying this is the last battle and then Pahlavi will return. That is who they are calling for. So this is absolutely not a US imposed leader. This is the leader that has been called for in the streets of Iran. And if that goes wrong, that's on the hands of the Iranian people.
Elica, thanks so much. KT, good to see you. Interesting conversation as this armada nears Iran, gets right in the region. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up here, doctors and nurses throwing away their careers with vile political rants online. That's coming up next.
It gives me great joy to wish Caroline Levitt a 4th degree tear.
Total Beats, America's best-selling Beats brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews today.
So, Here is a before of my stomach before Sonobello, and this is after.
This year, don't just lose weight, lose stubborn fat and sagging extra skin permanently at Sonobello.
I had some loose, wiggly skin, and it is no longer there thanks to Sonobello.
Our expert surgeons use micro laser technology to safely target and remove your diet-resistant fat and tighten loose skin permanently.
I wanted the results of the tummy tuck, but not the downtime. I had a 10 out of 10 experience.
We've helped over 300,000 people transform, and we're proud to be America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist.
In just one visit, Sonobello got rid of my love handles and my belly fat.
Do you want that flat stomach? You go get that flat stomach. Call Sonobello. Get in there for your free consultation. Do this for you.
Schedule your free, no-obligation consultation. Our flexible payment options make it easy to get started today.
Set sail toward fast asthma relief with Breathora.
$300 for a refill?
Don't pay that. Use Single Care. Look up your prescription, show the coupon to the pharmacist, and save.
Really?
Really. Single Care is free to use and available to everyone.
Single Care even beats my insurance.
It's the single best solution to high prices. And unlike this sunset, the savings are real.
See why more people are saving with Single Care. Common side effects include deep prescription discounts, sudden euphoria, and high-fiving pharmacists.
AI can turn your lights on.
Lights on.
And drive your car. And even write your kid's essay. But AI ain't gonna fix your broken water line or pay for the big repair bill. Having a plan from HomeServe offers real solutions. And when a covered system breaks, we'll send a qualified contractor and pay for the repair. There's nothing artificial about the peace of mind you get with a plan from HomeServe. Getting one is quite intelligent.
Plans from HomeServe start at just $4.99 a month.
Call 1-844-752-2141 or visit homeserve.com.
Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America. With trillions of dollars vanishing from the stock portfolios of retiring Americans, many hardworking people I speak with are concerned about the holdings in their IRAs. But I have good news for you. Our team at Swiss America can show you how easy it is to own gold in your IRA. You see, even with economic turmoil all around us, gold continues to not only be a safe haven, but is also increasing to all-time highs. The volatility of markets has created a lot of undue stress for people. Wouldn't you like that peace of mind that diversifying into metals can provide? For over 40 years, Swiss America has helped people just like you own precious metals in your IRAs. So don't miss this opportunity. Call or text our team at the number on your screen to receive a free copy of our Gold IRA brochure today.
A new year brings new threats, and Cyberman's ready for every one of them. While hackers plot their next move, Cyberman's already there, protecting families, businesses, and governments before danger can strike. This year, protect what matters most with easy-to-use, award-winning protection. With PCmatic, you get American-made protection that's faster, smarter, and stronger. Start 2026 with confidence. Visit PCmatic.com today.
Doctors' Preferred Liver Defense is doctor-developed to support your natural detox function with clinically validated, triple-tested key ingredients to energize and renew your liver. Find Liver Defense in the supplement aisle at Walmart. Doctors' Preferred. Better science, better results.
Welcome back. Time now for news from the left. A new trend: deranged medical professionals wishing patients physical harm if they don't align politically. One nurse named Lexi Lawler from Boca is certified nuts, posting this video on TikTok about Caroline Levitt. Take a listen.
As a labor and delivery nurse, it gives me great joy to wish Caroline Levitt a 4th-degree tear. I hope that you rip from bow to stern and never normally again, you.
Just a nurse. Baptist Health Boca Raton Regional Hospital has now terminated her. The Florida Attorney General calling for the Board of Nursing to revoke her license. Brilliant move putting that on the internet, by the way. One more VCU nurse by the name of Melinda right here being investigated by VCU Health and Police after she made a series of videos about resistance tips for fighting federal law enforcement. Listen to this.
All the medical providers, grab some syringes with needles on the end. Have them full of saline or succinylcholine. Anybody got any poison ivy, poison oak in their yard? Get some of that up with gloves, obviously. Get it in some water. I'm going to put it into a water gun. Aim for faces. Get on Tinder, get on Hinge, find these guys. If they're an ICE agent, bring some X-Lax and put it in their drinks. Get them sick.
Isn't that wild? She's been placed on leave by VCU Health. She's doing these at work. She'll never work again. Another Florida nurse, Eric Martindale, posting on Facebook saying he won't perform anesthesia or surgeries on any people from the right, saying it's his ethical oath. He now worried about losing his job, says he was hacked. I don't know if anybody's buying that. These are medical professionals that are dumb enough to put this kind of stuff on the internet. How terrifying is that? Amazing stuff. And finally, Alexander Vindman wants to be in Congress. Take a listen.
The last time you saw me was here, swearing an oath to tell the truth about a president who broke his. See, my family came to America as refugees to escape tyranny. And I sure as hell was not going to bow down to some wannabe tyrant.
Vindman became a fool's hero as a whistleblower after Trump asked Zelensky to look for Biden corruption, a move that we later learned was fully justified by the president because our own DOJ, his own DOJ, was working to bury the Biden corruption story and install Joe Biden in the White House. That's why Alexander Vindman, that's why you know his name. Ilhan Omar, just how corrupt? Next.
All right, look, you build up equity in your home, and now you need some cash. But deciding which lender to go with can be such a pain. I mean, they have different rates, different rules. So that's where Lingo comes in.
I called them, and it only took 2 minutes.
You just answer a few quick questions.
And they told me which options work best based on my info. Simple and fast.
So if you're thinking about tapping into your home equity with a HELOC, just go to Lingo, and you'll thank me later.
Call 844-766-REFI today. Lingo, where homeowners go to get cash.
Why are so many dogs dying before their time? In my experience, great health starts with great food. That's why I created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete. It contains powerful canine superfoods that directly support your dog's digestion, skin and coat, mobility, and so much more.
And it's air dried. That means cooked low and slow, no high heat.
We have thousands of 5-star reviews. And for a limited time, get up to 50% off with our special TV offer. Go to badlandsranch.com/TV. That's badlandsranch.com/TV.
As a neurologist, my patients are often concerned with age-related memory decline. I recommend Cunol Brain Health with 2 powerful, high-absorption ingredients clinically shown to improve memory, focus, attention, and more. Cunol, the brand I trust.
The first time I experienced vertigo, the room was spinning, like I was in a clothes dryer. Then I started taking LipoBalance support. Its ingredients are clinically shown to help reduce dizziness and spinning. Take back control with lipoflavonoid.
Precise designs, subtle curves, curated upgrades, elevated design for thoughtful living. Thuma.
Some mornings the road calls for more than just horsepower. It asks for intention, precision, a quiet confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. It's the details, how you carry the moment that sets the tone. This isn't just about looking sharp, it's about feeling ready. Crafted for motion, built with purpose, designed to perform from sunrise to last light. Collars & Co. Presence starts here. Try it for yourself today at collarsandco.com.
I set out to help brands cut through the noise with an AI-powered growth engine. We've raised over $50 million from over 10,000 investors and delivered real ROI for Fortune 1000 firms. Everyday investors like yourself can have a seat at the table.
Current wait until November 20th.
And finally tonight, Congressman Tom Tiffany putting on X, no member of Congress should profit by routing campaign money to their spouse, reintroducing the Ilhan Omar Act after Ilhan paid her husband's consulting firm $2.8 million. How corrupt are these people? The act is from 2021, prohibits the use of campaign funds that compensate the spouse of a candidate. It all comes after the New York Times reported that the investigation into Ilhan and all of these corrupt acts started under Biden, however, appeared to have stalled for lack of evidence. Really? Or was it political? Finnerty's up next. This woman is so nakedly corrupt, her husband had years of fraud allegations as well. Welcome to Washington.
Yeah, Tim Minette, we called his winery today. We tried to find them on social media. We tried to order wine, all of which you cannot do in this winery valued anywhere between $3 and $5 million. Ilhan, where'd you get all that money?
It's such a joke.
Right?
Have a good show.
Thanks, Rob. Good to see you. Finity starts now.